Subscribe to my YouTube channel, share it with your friends, and comment your thoughts. The sound of the first laugh hit her like a slap. Anna stood frozen in the middle of the grand stage, her fingers trembling at her sides. Above her, the harsh white lights burned down, making her feel exposed, like a specimen under a microscope. All around her, the large auditorium buzzed with cruel whispers, poorly hidden giggles, and the low murmur of disbelief. She hadn't expected this. When she signed up for the town's annual Young Talents Gala, Anna thought it would be a place of hope, a small crack in the wall she had been facing all her life. A chance. A beginning. She had spent every waking hour practicing, dreaming, holding on to the fragile belief that maybe, just maybe, someone would see her. But now, standing in front of this crowd, she felt like a fool. And worse, she could hear them laughing. The object of their laughter sat just in front of her. An ancient, battered piano, its black paint chipped and peeling, one leg uneven, making the whole structure tilt dangerously to one side. Several of the keys were missing. Others looked worn down to the wood beneath. It looked more like something dragged from a junkyard than an instrument fit for a performance. Anna had been promised a grand piano. A real one. She had even pictured it in her mind, polished ebony wood, smooth ivory keys, a gentle, majestic sound flowing like water. Instead, they had wheeled out this wreck. And then they had told her, with a smirk, to do her best. The humiliation was sharp, almost physical. She could see the judges seated at the long table near the front of the stage. Most of them looked bored. A few wore expressions of barely concealed amusement. One of them, a woman with sharp eyes and a designer blazer, was openly texting on her phone. Anna's mouth went dry. She wanted to run. To cry. To disappear. Instead, she took a step forward. The wooden stage creaked under her thin shoes. Every movement seemed loud in the tense, buzzing air. Maybe she'll make music with the broken parts, someone snickered from the second row. More laughter followed, low and mean. Anna's cheeks burned. Her vision blurred slightly. She fought back the tears threatening to spill over. She had come too far. She couldn't turn back now. Swallowing hard, she pulled out the battered stool, hearing its rusty legs screech against the floor. She sat down carefully, feeling it wobble beneath her. The piano loomed before her, a sad, broken thing. Just like me, she thought bitterly. Her fingers hovered over the keys. From this close, she could see the cracks running through the wood, the stains where someone had spilled coffee long ago, the places where the keys were chipped or missing entirely. It was hopeless. How was she supposed to make music out of this wreck? The whispers grew louder. Someone coughed loudly, impatient. Anna closed her eyes. For a moment, she let herself drift away, from the stage, the laughter, the broken piano, the cruel stares. She drifted back to her tiny apartment, where the walls were thin and the nights cold. Back to the battered keyboard she had rescued from a trash heap and taught herself to play on. Back to the afternoons sitting with her mother, who had once told her, "It's not the instrument, sweetheart. It's the heart behind it." Heart. That's all she had. Taking a deep breath, Anna let her fingers fall. The first sound was rough, a dull, uneven note that seemed to stagger into the air and fall flat. There was a ripple of laughter from the audience. But Anna didn't stop. She found a second note, then a third. She moved her hands carefully, avoiding the missing keys, adjusting instinctively to the instrument's strange, broken map. And slowly, incredibly, something began to happen. A melody emerged. It was raw and jagged, imperfect and wild. But it was beautiful. Somehow, from the ruin in front of her, Anna pulled out something living, something aching and real. The laughter faded. The whispers died. The judges leaned forward, their pens forgotten. Anna didn't open her eyes. She played as if her life depended on it, her body swaying slightly with the rhythm. Every note carried a piece of her, the loneliness, the hunger, the quiet desperate hope that had kept her going when everything else had crumbled. The room changed around her. Where once there was mockery, now there was silence. Not just quiet, but a heavy, breathless stillness, as if the entire hall was holding its breath. The melody grew, weaving its way through the cracks in the piano, filling the gaps, rising and falling like the ocean. She could feel it. The moment when disbelief turned into awe. The moment when the audience forgot the broken piano and saw only the music. Only her. Anna's fingers flew across the damaged keys with a speed and grace that seemed impossible. Her soul poured out through the music, raw and naked. Minutes passed. Or maybe it was hours. She didn't know. When the final note floated into the air, it lingered, trembling like a fragile bird, before finally fading into silence. Anna lowered her hands. Slowly, she opened her eyes. The entire auditorium was frozen. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. And then, somewhere in the back, someone stood up. A slow, hesitant clap echoed in the hall. Then another. And another. Until the entire room erupted into applause. Thunderous, deafening applause. Anna sat frozen, stunned. She had dreamed of applause before, but nothing had prepared her for the real thing. It filled the space around her, poured over her like sunlight, warm and blinding. She barely noticed the judges scrambling to gather their notes, their faces stunned. She barely heard the murmurs of, "Who is she?" and "Where did she come from?" Anna rose slowly from the stool, her legs trembling. She gave a small, awkward bow. But just as the world seemed to tilt in her favor, the double doors at the back of the hall slammed open with a bang. Heads turned. The applause faltered. A group of men in dark suits rushed in, weaving through the frozen audience. Their faces were serious, urgent. One of them pointed directly at Anna. "You! Stay right there," he barked. The air shifted, heavy with confusion and fear. Anna froze, her heart hammering against her ribs. What was happening? Who were they? Why were they pointing at her? The judges looked just as confused, their earlier arrogance dissolving into nervous glances. The men moved quickly, clearing a path through the stunned crowd. Anna backed away instinctively, but there was nowhere to run. She was trapped on the stage, exposed, with hundreds of eyes watching her. One of the men, tall with a grim face and a scar along his jaw, stepped forward and said something that made the entire room gasp. "Miss Anna Carter, you need to come with us immediately." Anna's mouth fell open. "What, why?" she stammered. The man didn't answer. Instead, he reached into his jacket and flashed a badge. Official. Government. The room buzzed with new whispers, full of fear and curiosity. Anna stood there, stunned, as two of the men gently but firmly escorted her off the stage. As she disappeared through the doors, the whispers followed her like a wave. Who was she really? And why was the government after her? The cold air outside hit Anna like a slap the moment they pushed open the doors. The world beyond the auditorium was gray and heavy, thick clouds hanging low over the cracked parking lot. A few startled bystanders stood near the entrance, staring wide-eyed as the men in dark suits guided Anna down the steps. Anna stumbled, trying to keep pace. Her mind spun with 1,000 questions, none of which had answers. Who were these men? What did they want from her? Had she done something wrong? Was this all some terrible mistake? "Please," she managed to whisper, her voice shaking. "Can someone tell me what's happening?" The tall man with the scar ignored her. His grip on her arm was firm but not cruel, as if he were used to handling fragile things without breaking them. A black SUV stood idling at the curb, its engine growling low. The rear door swung open, and before Anna could react, they guided her inside. The door slammed shut. For a moment, there was only silence, except for the steady hum of the car's engine. Anna sat frozen, clutching the hem of her dress with trembling fingers. Her mind raced with terrifying possibilities. Was this a kidnapping? Was she being arrested? But for what? A woman in a sharp navy suit turned from the front passenger seat and studied Anna with intense, unreadable eyes. "You must be very confused," the woman said finally, her voice calm, almost kind. Anna could only nod. "My name is Agent Palmer," the woman continued. "We're with the Department of Cultural Preservation." Anna blinked. "The what?" Agent Palmer exchanged a quick glance with the man sitting next to her, Scarface. Anna nicknamed him silently. His real name, she guessed, wouldn't be much softer. "There's no easy way to explain this," Palmer said carefully. "But what you did on that stage, the music you created, it triggered something." Anna stared at her. "Triggered, what?" Scarface leaned forward, his voice low and serious. "You're not just a musician, Miss Carter. You're something else. Something very rare." Anna let out a disbelieving laugh. "You must have the wrong person. I'm no one. I'm just. I live in a tiny apartment. I fix coffee machines for a living. I taught myself piano because we couldn't afford lessons." Palmer shook her head. "No, Anna. You didn't teach yourself. You remembered." Anna's stomach twisted painfully. "Remembered what?" The SUV pulled away from the curb, the windows instantly darkening to block the outside world. The road disappeared behind them, and Anna had never felt smaller or more lost. Palmer leaned closer. "Tell me, Anna. When you play, have you ever felt like the music wasn't coming from you? Like it was older, deeper, something you couldn't explain?" Anna swallowed hard. Because the truth was, yes. Every time she played, it felt like her hands were chasing memories she didn't own. Like echoes of another life. "I don't know," she whispered. Palmer gave a small, sad smile. "That's what we thought." Anna turned to the window, trying to see where they were going, but the glass was tinted so dark she could see only her own frightened reflection. "Where are you taking me?" she asked. "Somewhere safe," Scarface said simply. "And somewhere you can get answers." Anna wanted to scream at them, to demand to be let out, but something inside her held back. Some small, stubborn voice whispered. "You've always known you were different. Maybe this is where you find out why." The SUV drove for what felt like hours, leaving the city behind, winding through empty country roads, past fields and forests and lonely stretches of highway. Finally, they turned down a narrow gravel path, lined with tall trees that cast deep shadows over the car. At the end of the road stood a large stone building, half hidden by ivy, old and stately like a forgotten mansion. The gates opened silently, and the SUV slipped inside. Anna's heart thudded painfully as they pulled to a stop in a circular driveway. She was ushered out of the car and into the building without ceremony. Inside, the air was cool and smelled faintly of old paper and something metallic. It didn't feel threatening. It felt ancient. Palmer led her down a series of hallways, past heavy wooden doors and high windows. Strange murals covered some of the walls, musicians, dancers, artists, people with light in their eyes and flames at their fingertips. Finally, they reached a room that looked like a small library. A fire crackled in the stone fireplace. Books lined the shelves, worn leather and gold-embossed titles in languages Anna couldn't read. "Sit," Palmer said gently, motioning to a large chair. Anna obeyed, feeling like a lost child. Palmer sat across from her, folding her hands neatly in her lap. Scarface stood by the door, silent and watchful. "You have a gift, Anna," Palmer said. "But it's not just talent. It's something deeper. Something inherited. Anna frowned. Inherited? From who? My mother? She never even played an instrument. Palmer shook her head. Not your mother. Not in the way you think. She leaned forward, her eyes sharp and bright. Have you ever heard of the echoes? Anna shook her head slowly. Palmer continued. The echoes are people who carry fragments of ancient memories. Pieces of lives that came before, buried deep inside them. Sometimes they manifest as instincts, dreams, talents they can't explain. In your case, music. Anna stared at her, struggling to take it in. You mean? I'm remembering someone else's music? In a way, Palmer said. The piano you played tonight, the song you brought to life, it wasn't random. That melody hasn't been heard in over 300 years. Anna's breath caught. How could I know it? Palmer smiled sadly. Because it's inside you. Passed down, hidden, waiting. Anna gripped the arms of the chair. This was insane. And yet, deep inside, something in her stirred, a recognition. A shiver of truth. But why now? She asked. Why did it come out tonight? Palmer's expression darkened. Because something, or someone, is hunting the echoes. The words fell like stones into the quiet room. Hunting? Anna repeated, her voice barely a whisper. Palmer nodded. There are people who believe the echoes are dangerous. That their memories should be erased, controlled, or worse. Anna's head spun. She wasn't just a girl who loved music. She was something much bigger. And now, she was a target. But I don't even know what I am. Anna cried. How am I supposed to survive this? You won't be alone, Palmer said firmly. We're here to protect you. To teach you. You're not the only one. Anna blinked. There are others? Palmer's smile returned, softer this time. Dozens. Maybe hundreds. Scattered all over the world. Artists, musicians, writers, people who carry pieces of our shared past. For the first time since she had been yanked off that stage, Anna felt something other than fear. Hope. But before she could ask more, the door behind Scarface creaked open. A man stepped inside. He was older, with silver hair and sharp blue eyes that seemed to see straight through her. Miss Carter, he said, his voice deep and commanding. Welcome. We've been waiting for you. Anna stood slowly, her legs shaky. Who are you? She whispered. The man smiled, a small, knowing smile. My name is Elias, he said. And you, Anna, you are about to change everything. The fire crackled behind them. Outside, thunder rumbled in the distance. And Anna realized. Her life had just begun a journey that would take her deeper than she had ever imagined. Into a world of secrets. Of danger. Of hidden powers. A world where she was both a key and a target. And there was no going back. The rain was falling hard against the windows now, each drop like a tiny drumbeat echoing through the stone corridors. Anna sat silently in the great hall, trying to absorb everything she had just learned. Her heart still raced from the shock, but somewhere inside, curiosity had begun to bloom. She was not just a struggling musician. She was something else entirely. An echo. Across from her, Elias studied her with an expression that was almost proud. You have questions, he said simply. Anna let out a dry laugh. That's the understatement of the year. Elias gestured to the fireplace, where the flames danced and snapped. Ask. Anna licked her lips, trying to find the right words. If I'm an echo, what does that mean? What am I supposed to do? Elias leaned back in his chair, his eyes gleaming in the firelight. It means you carry a memory that matters, he said. Not just to you. To history. To the world. Anna frowned. But why me? I'm not special. I'm no one. You think greatness chooses only the famous? Elias asked, a slight smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. No, Anna. Sometimes, the most powerful gifts are hidden in the most ordinary souls. His words stirred something deep inside her. A part of her had always felt different. Set apart. Still, she struggled to believe it. And the people hunting us, she asked, her voice quieter now. Who are they? Elias's smile faded. They call themselves the Silencers, he said grimly. They believe the past should stay buried. They fear what you might remember, and what you might inspire in others. Anna shivered. It sounded almost too terrible to be real. But why fear music? She asked. It's just sound. No, Elias said, his voice dropping low. It's memory. It's feeling. It's rebellion. In the right hands, it can wake people up, make them question, fight, change. He leaned closer. And that, he said, terrifies them. The fire crackled louder, casting wild shadows across the room. Anna thought of the laughter in the auditorium, the cruel way they had mocked her broken piano. And the way their laughter had died the moment she played. Maybe there was more power in her hands than she had ever realized. You're not alone, Elias said. There are others. Just like you. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a small silver locket, placing it gently in Anna's palm. It was old, scratched, and cold to the touch. What's this? She asked. Your key, he said simply. To the others. Anna looked up at him, confused. You'll understand soon, he promised. Before she could ask more, the heavy doors at the end of the hall creaked open. A woman stepped inside. She was about Anna's age, maybe a little older, with deep brown skin and eyes that sparkled with fierce intelligence. Her hair was twisted into tight braids, and she wore a jacket embroidered with tiny musical notes. This is Amara, Elias said. She's one of us. Amara crossed the room in 3 confident strides and offered her hand. Welcome to the fight, she said, her grin wide and warm. Anna shook her hand, feeling a strange mix of relief and fear. Amara sat beside her, pulling her jacket tighter against the chill. I heard what you did at the hall, she said. That was brave. Anna shrugged. I didn't feel brave. I felt desperate. Amara laughed. That's usually how it starts. Anna smiled weakly. You're going to need help, Amara said seriously. Training. Protection. A way to control your gifts before they control you. Anna's stomach twisted. Control them? Was her music dangerous? Amara must have seen the fear flash across her face. It's not about hurting people, she said quickly. It's about surviving. About remembering who you are, and who came before you. Anna looked down at the locket in her hand. And them? She asked, meaning the Silencers. Amara's smile vanished. They won't stop, she said. Not until they erase every echo from existence. The room felt colder suddenly. Anna closed her fingers tightly around the locket. I want to fight, she said quietly, surprising herself. Amara's smile returned. Bigger this time. Good, she said. Because the first lesson starts now. Hours later, Anna found herself standing in a vast underground chamber deep beneath the old building. It was like nothing she had ever seen. The walls were covered in paintings, carvings, and strange, glittering instruments hung from the ceiling. Pianos with impossible shapes. Violins that looked like they had been carved from bone. Drums that seemed to hum with a life of their own. Amara handed her a small wooden box. "Open it," she said. Anna flipped the latch and lifted the lid. Inside was a thin silver bracelet, delicate and shining. "Put it on," Amara said. Anna slipped it over her wrist. Instantly, she felt a strange warmth spread through her body, like a memory surfacing from deep water. Amara watched her carefully. "The bracelet amplifies the connection," she explained. "It helps you access the memories faster. Stronger." Anna stared at her. "Isn't that dangerous?" Amara grinned. "Only if you're reckless." She clapped her hands once. The walls around them shifted, panels sliding open to reveal small, private practice rooms. Anna's jaw dropped. "This is where we train," Amara said proudly. "Where we learn to use what's inside us." Anna stepped toward one of the rooms, her heart pounding. Inside, a piano sat waiting. Old, battered, but somehow, familiar. She sat down, her fingers hovering over the keys. "Close your eyes," Amara instructed. Anna obeyed. "Don't think," Amara said softly. "Just remember." At first, there was only darkness behind Anna's closed eyelids. Then, a flicker. A hand, not her own, playing a melody she had never heard before. A feeling of longing. Of loss. Of fierce, stubborn hope. Her fingers moved on their own, finding the notes without conscious thought. Music filled the room. Not broken or forced, but whole. Alive. Anna felt tears sting her eyes. This was who she was. This was what had been buried inside her all along. When the last note faded, Amara clapped softly. "Not bad," she said with a grin. Anna laughed, wiping her eyes. "I felt." She struggled for words. "Connected. Like I wasn't alone." "You're not," Amara said warmly. "Not anymore." The days that followed blurred into a whirlwind of lessons and training. Anna learned how to tap into the memories buried in her soul. She learned how to recognize the echoes in others, the tiny signs that marked someone as a carrier of forgotten wisdom. She learned about the silencers too. How they used fear and lies to root out echoes. How they infiltrated schools, governments, even music conservatories. And most terrifying of all, how they were closing in. One night, after a long day of training, Anna sat alone in the library, the silver locket resting on the table in front of her. She turned it over and over in her hands. Elias's words echoed in her mind. "Your key to the others." There was a small catch on the side she hadn't noticed before. Anna pressed it gently. With a soft click, the locket popped open. Inside was a tiny folded piece of parchment. Her heart pounding, she carefully unfolded it. A list of names. Dozens of them. Next to each name was a city. Some she recognized. Paris, Cairo, Sydney. Others she didn't. At the bottom of the list, one name was circled in red ink. Eleanor Blackstone, London. Anna frowned. Who was Eleanor? Before she could think more, a cold hand clamped down on her shoulder. She gasped, spinning around. Scarface, whose real name, she had learned, was Marcus, stood behind her, his face grim. "Come," he said. "Now." Anna's stomach twisted with fear. "What's wrong?" she asked. He didn't answer. Just pulled her roughly to her feet and dragged her down the hall. The building was eerily silent. Too silent. As they turned a corner, Anna caught a glimpse of Amara standing by a window, her face pale. "What's happening?" Anna cried. Amara shook her head sharply. "No time. Run." Gunshots echoed through the hallways. Anna screamed as Marcus shoved her through a hidden door behind one of the murals. Inside was a narrow stone staircase, spiraling down into darkness. "Move!" Marcus barked. Anna stumbled down the steps, her mind blank with terror. Behind them, she heard shouts. Footsteps. The silencers were here. They had found them. And this time, they weren't just coming to scare her. They were coming to erase her. Forever. The stone stairs were steep and crumbling beneath Anna's feet. Her breath came in ragged gasps as she stumbled downward into the darkness. Behind her, Marcus moved quickly but carefully, one hand on her shoulder, steering her. Above them, distant gunshots echoed like thunder. The silencers were tearing the building apart. Anna didn't dare look back. She focused only on the next step. And the next. And the next. Finally, the staircase ended at a narrow tunnel carved deep into the earth. The air was cold and damp, filled with the smell of wet stone and something older. Something ancient. Marcus pushed a rusty door open with his shoulder, and they spilled into a hidden passageway. "We don't have much time," he growled. "Keep moving." Anna obeyed without question. They ran. The tunnel twisted and turned, sloping downward, then up again, branching into countless dark corridors. It felt endless, like a maze built to confuse and trap. Anna's heart pounded painfully in her chest. How did they find us?" she managed to gasp between breaths. Marcus didn't answer immediately. His jaw was tight, his eyes grim. Finally, he said, "Someone betrayed us." Anna stumbled, almost falling. Betrayed? She thought of Amara's smile. Elias's steady gaze. Surely not them. Surely not. Before she could ask more, Marcus stopped abruptly, pulling her into a side tunnel. "Listen," he hissed. Anna strained her ears. At first, she heard nothing. Then, a faint, metallic clanging. Footsteps. Many of them. Coming closer. Marcus cursed under his breath. "They're tracking us faster than I thought." Anna pressed herself against the cold stone wall, trying to stay silent. She clutched the silver locket tightly in her hand, the list of names hidden safely inside her jacket. It felt heavier now. More dangerous. "What do we?" The fire crackled softly in the corner of the old Music Academy's sitting room, but Anna couldn't feel its warmth. She sat stiffly, hands clenched in her lap, while Eleanor Blackstone watched her with sharp, unreadable eyes. "You're lucky you made it here alive," Eleanor finally said, breaking the heavy silence. Anna swallowed hard. "I didn't feel lucky." Eleanor's mouth twitched into something that might have been a smile, or a grimace. "You were carrying a very dangerous secret," she said, tapping the pocket where she had hidden the silver locket. "A secret many powerful people would kill to keep buried." Anna shivered. "I don't even understand what's happening," she confessed. "What is this list? Why is it so important?" Eleanor rose from her chair and moved to the window, pulling the heavy curtains tighter shut. "You'll understand soon enough," she said. "But first, we need to test something." Anna blinked. "Test?" Eleanor turned back to her, her gaze sharp and assessing. "You're not here just because of the locket," she said. "There's something else. Something in you." Anna shook her head in confusion. "I'm just a pianist. That's all." Eleanor smiled thinly. "No, Anna. You're much more than that." She crossed the room and picked up a battered old violin from a stand near the fireplace. The instrument looked ancient, its wood worn smooth by centuries of use. "Play something," Eleanor ordered, holding the violin out to her. Anna hesitated. I don't know how to play the violin." Eleanor's gaze didn't waver. "Just try." Anna took the violin awkwardly, feeling foolish. She tucked it under her chin, grasped the bow, and drew it across the strings. A harsh, screeching noise filled the room, and she winced. "I told you," she began. "Again," Eleanor said sharply. Anna tried again. Screech. Wail. It sounded terrible. But beneath the awful sound, Anna thought she heard something. A faint vibration. A whisper. She stopped, heart pounding. Eleanor watched her carefully. "You feel it, don't you?" Anna nodded slowly. I think so." Eleanor took the violin back. "It's not about playing music," she said softly. "It's about hearing it." Anna stared at her, confused. "Hearing what?" Eleanor leaned closer. "The truth." Later that night, Anna lay awake in a narrow bed in a small room Eleanor had given her. The mattress sagged in the middle, and the wind rattled the old windows. She couldn't stop thinking about what Eleanor had said. Hearing the truth. What did that even mean? She thought about the strange vibrations she had felt through the violin. About the way the broken piano in the marketplace had seemed to speak to her in a language no one else could hear. She had always thought music was just beautiful. But what if it was something more? What if music was a key, a code, a hidden language? And what if Anna could read it without even knowing? A sudden knock on the door made her sit up, heart racing. "Come in," she called out. Eleanor entered, holding a folded piece of paper. "You need to see this," she said. Anna climbed out of bed and took the paper. It was a map. Not of the academy, but of something buried deep beneath London. An underground network. Tunnels. Rooms. Vaults. And one location circled in red ink. "The Chamber of Echoes," Eleanor said. "It's where the next clue is hidden." Anna stared at the map, feeling both fear and excitement surge inside her. "When do we leave?" she asked. Eleanor smiled grimly. "Now." The streets of London were quiet at midnight. Anna and Eleanor moved swiftly, their footsteps silent on the wet cobblestones. Eleanor led them through twisting alleys, past sleeping houses and shuttered shops. Finally, they reached a crumbling church tucked between two massive buildings. Its windows were dark. Its stone steps cracked and broken. "This way," Eleanor whispered. She led Anna around the back to a rusted iron grate half buried under a tangle of weeds. Eleanor pulled it open with a groan of protest, revealing a narrow stone stairway descending into darkness. Without hesitation, Eleanor slipped inside. Anna followed, heart pounding. The air grew colder as they moved downward, and the faint smell of earth and decay filled Anna's nose. After what felt like forever, the stairway ended in a long, damp tunnel. The walls were lined with ancient bricks, black with age. They walked in silence, their only light a flickering lantern Eleanor carried. After several minutes, the tunnel widened into a vast underground chamber. Anna gasped. The walls were covered in carvings, musical notes, instruments, swirling patterns that seemed almost alive. At the center of the room stood a giant, broken harp. Its strings hung loose and tangled, its wood split and rotting. But Anna felt it immediately, the same vibration she had sensed with the violin. The same silent music. Eleanor set the lantern down and gestured toward the harp. "It's yours," she said. Anna approached slowly. She reached out and touched one of the broken strings. It thrummed beneath her fingers, vibrating with a sound she couldn't hear, but could feel. Suddenly, patterns began to glow on the walls, pulsing gently with light. Eleanor gasped. "It's working." Anna turned in wonder. "What is it?" Eleanor's face was filled with awe. "The Song of the Lost," she whispered. "It's calling you." The carvings on the walls shifted, rearranging themselves. A message appeared. Anna leaned closer, squinting to read it. It was in a language she didn't know. But somehow, she understood. The truth is buried beneath the black cathedral. Seek the keeper of keys. Anna looked at Eleanor, her heart hammering. What does it mean? Eleanor's face was grave. It means your journey isn't over, she said. It's only just begun. Before they could speak further, a sharp sound echoed through the tunnels. Footsteps. Shouts. Eleanor's face tightened. They found us. Anna's blood ran cold. The silencers. Again. Eleanor grabbed her arm. Run. They sprinted across the chamber, the old stones slippery beneath their feet. Gunfire rang out behind them, bullets sparking off the walls. Anna ducked instinctively, adrenaline surging through her veins. Ahead, a narrow passage gaped open like a mouth. They dove into it just as another shot rang out. Anna felt the wind of the bullet whip past her cheek. She didn't look back. She just ran. The tunnels twisted and turned, a dizzying maze of darkness. Anna's lungs burned, her legs screamed in protest. But she didn't stop. Couldn't stop. Finally, they burst into a small underground chapel. Stained glass windows, shattered long ago, lay scattered across the floor. In the center of the room, an ancient stone altar stood, covered in dust. Eleanor slammed the heavy wooden door behind them and bolted it. For a moment, they just leaned against the wall, gasping for breath. We can't stay here long, Eleanor said grimly. They'll break through eventually. Anna nodded, wiping sweat and grime from her forehead. What now? She asked. Eleanor moved quickly to the altar. She pressed her hand against the top stone, and it slid aside with a heavy grinding noise. Beneath it, a hidden staircase spiraled downward into darkness. Anna stared at it, dread curling in her stomach. Down there? Eleanor nodded. The black cathedral lies beneath this city, she said. And somewhere within it. The keeper of keys. Anna took a deep breath. Then she stepped forward and began to descend. Eleanor followed, sealing the altar behind them. They plunged into the darkness together. Toward the truth. Toward the final battle. And Anna knew. Whatever waited below. She was ready. No matter the cost. The stone steps spiraled deeper into the earth, each step colder and darker than the last. Anna's breath came in shallow gasps. The lantern Eleanor carried barely pushed back the darkness. It felt like they were walking straight into the bones of the world itself. Stay close, Eleanor whispered. Anna nodded, though fear clawed at her chest. The staircase ended at a massive iron door covered in strange symbols, musical notes twisted into unfamiliar patterns. Eleanor pressed her hand against the door, and it shuddered open with a sound like 1,000 voices sighing at once. Anna stepped into the chamber beyond, and gasped. They stood in a vast cathedral underground. Black marble columns soared into shadow. The air was thick with the scent of dust, stone, and something older, something ancient. At the far end of the cathedral stood a giant pipe organ. Its pipe stretched high into the darkness like the ribs of some long-dead beast. And sitting before the organ, cloaked in black, was a figure. The keeper of keys. Eleanor nudged Anna forward. This is your moment, she said quietly. Anna swallowed hard and walked down the aisle. Her footsteps echoed eerily through the vast space. When she reached the altar, the keeper rose. He, or perhaps she, was completely covered. Only a pair of pale hands showed from the dark robes. You have come for the truth, the keeper said, voice deep and strange. Anna nodded, trembling. Yes. The keeper gestured to the organ. Then you must play. Anna hesitated. I don't know how to play this, she stammered. The keeper's voice was patient but firm. You do not need to know. The music already knows you. Anna stepped toward the organ. The keys were yellowed with age, some cracked and worn. She sat on the ancient bench and placed her hands on the keys. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a vibration through her fingertips. A memory rising from somewhere deep inside her. Not a memory she had lived, but one carried through the music itself. Without thinking, Anna began to play. Slowly at first. Then faster. The notes poured out of her hands like water, filling the cathedral with a haunting, powerful melody. It was not a song of joy. It was a song of sorrow. Of hope. Of battles fought and fought again. As she played, the carvings on the walls began to glow. Scenes flickered across the stone, stories of a secret society who had once used music to guard the world's greatest truths. Of betrayal. Of a terrible war fought in silence and shadow. And finally, of a child. Hidden away, carrying the last piece of the old music inside her. Anna realized with a jolt, it was her. She was the last note-bearer. The final keeper of the old songs. The keeper of keys spoke again. You are the bridge between what was lost and what can be found. Anna's fingers faltered on the keys. But, why me? The keeper stepped closer. Because you were never meant to be ordinary, he said. You were meant to hear what others could not. To feel what others would bury. To save what others would destroy. Tears filled Anna's eyes. All her life, she had felt different. Lost. Alone. Now she understood why. She wasn't broken. She was chosen. Suddenly, a loud crack split the air. The great door at the entrance shuddered. The silencers had found them. Eleanor ran to Anna's side. We have to finish this, she cried. Before they get in. Anna turned back to the organ. She felt it, the song was incomplete. One final chord remained. She reached deep into herself, beyond fear, beyond doubt, and played it. A single, pure note filled the cathedral. It vibrated through stone and bone and soul. The walls shuddered. The black marble cracked. And from the altar, something rose, a crystal orb, glowing with inner light. Eleanor gasped. The heart of music, she whispered. Anna reached out and took it. At once, knowledge flooded her mind. A map. A key. A weapon. A song. All hidden in one. The doors burst open behind them. Dozens of silencers flooded in, guns raised. But before they could fire, Anna stood tall, holding the orb high. The light from it washed over the room. The silencers screamed and fell to their knees, clutching their heads. The truth, the pure, unfiltered truth, was something they could not endure. Eleanor grabbed Anna's arm. Come on. We have to go. Together, they ran down a side passage that opened behind the altar, the crystal orb lighting their way. They emerged into the cold London night, gasping for air. Anna looked back once, at the ancient cathedral disappearing into darkness. A part of her felt like she was leaving home. But a bigger part knew, her real journey was just beginning. In the days that followed, the world changed. Subtle at first. Secrets long buried began to surface. Corrupt organizations crumbled. Old lies were exposed. People began to hear music differently, to feel its power stirring in their bones. Anna traveled from city to city, guided by the songs she had once thought were only dreams. Wherever she went, she found others, people like her, who could hear the hidden truths. Together, they rebuilt the Brotherhood of the Note. Not to hide the truth. But to share it. To heal. To protect. To remind the world that even in silence, there is music. And even in darkness, there is hope. One rainy evening, months after the night in the Black Cathedral, Anna returned to the marketplace where it had all begun. The broken piano still sat there, covered in dust. She smiled and sat down, running her fingers gently over the battered keys. A small crowd gathered. They whispered. They pointed. Some laughed. But Anna didn't care. She closed her eyes, and began to play. And as her music rose into the night, a hush fell over the crowd. The same hush that had fallen long ago. The hush of wonder. Of awe. Of truth. And for the first time in a long time, Anna felt truly free.